Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. My name is Ruth Usman, and I'm happy to be here on the 20th of February 2018 at exactly 11 minutes past 10 o'clock. Good morning once again. I have staring at me in the studio Barrister Adana.
Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning to you. So I've been trying to see for how long I would speak before mentioning your name. That's just what I was trying
You
to
really
do.
tried.
And then smiling and smiling.
You tried.
All right. I would have gone ahead to just mention the topic and then we'll start talking as if I was going to be alone in the studio. And then just when you think she's not here, then I will introduce her. But she's here. She always comes through.
Thank you.
Okay, so today on Probono Chambers, we would look at this situation. I call it a situation. So, should a suspect be paraded in public despite the provision of the Constitution that every individual charged with a criminal offense is presumed innocent until proven guilty? That's a mouthful. So, is it okay for a suspect to be paraded even though there's, what the Constitution says about everyone being innocent until proven guilty?
Before we start, we need to let us understand the meaning of public parade. It's simply or basically the practice of law enforcement agencies to parade or put forward persons who have been suspected of committing a particular crime to the public or press before such person is arraigned in the court of law. However, it's a practice recently. Most times persons who are alleged of committing offenses these days are arrested. The next thing we see is them being put out there on the social media or the press, or even the public, to the members of the public to see them. However, in some cases, such persons might not even be found guilty of committing that offense.
At the end of the day.
Yes. Sometimes there are no sufficient evidence to link such persons to the alleged offenses, and then they are actually released after being paraded. Some other times they are being taken to the court of law and arraigned, then they are not found guilty. They are discharged and acquitted. And that had happened after they were paraded. Now, in such instances, it had to a great extent violated the provision of the Constitution, which specifically stated that a person is presumed, especially a person that has been charged of committing a criminal offense, is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now, the Constitution has specifically provided that under the fundamental human rights of Nigerian citizens. And then it also had provided for the safeguard of a suspect, a person suspected to have committed a crime, protecting their dignity of human person. The implication of that provision is that it negates such person to be brought forth to the public or to be pronounced as a criminal without the pronouncement of courts, without charging the person guilty. So, however, public parade terms to violate that provision of the law. Now, in this instance, this matter that we are addressing right now, the right of suspects is to a great extent to protect them from any form of inhuman treatment or any form of degrading treatment, even as a suspect. The nature of public parade, most times, it's usually very dehumanizing, Sometimes they are paraded naked. Sometimes they are paraded and even exposed. Their faces are exposed to the public, even to the press. Sometimes videos are even made of them.
Yeah, what you're saying is even as a suspect, you have rights.
Yes, there are rights, constitutional rights provided for a suspect.
Which includes not being, paraded, especially as a suspect.
Which is not being treated inhumanly. And that such person is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty.
So
I'm yet to learn, Ruth.
Yeah, because maybe I'm being impatient. So
yeah,
can you
I'm saying
land,
that,
please?
Yes, I'm saying that such arrested person, it's required to be treated fairly and the dignity of the person should be protected. So, but however, public parade is a right that is being initiated by the law enforcement agencies. And sometimes the drivers who are the law enforcement agencies, when they do this, it's an act that is rarely questionable. They are standing to protect the public interests. And the public also have a right to be informed, especially where there are compelling cases that comes out in the public. You know, most of these crimes that are said to have been committed or heard to have been committed or alleged, most times are notorious. So the public want to be informed. They want to know the status of the crime. They want to know who committed this crime. They want to know the faces of this person. They want to point out this person because, you know, they are screaming for an answer to that particular situation. Now, if the police or the law enforcement agencies are acting on behalf of the public, and then the Constitution had also provided for the rights of suspects to be protected, you could see that these rights conflict. So, of course, this argument is...
smiling.
Why?
I'm smiling because I don't know, but ever since you started talking this time around, like, I just want to hear that, okay, this parading is wrong. Constitutionally
it
speaking,
is not now,
or it is right. Okay, so what you're saying now is just that it's conflicting.
No, it's a completing of rights.
Okay,
I would say it's
so
a completing of rights because
outrightly
the court
right or wrong. Okay.
Yeah, because the court hasn't had any pronouncement to state that it's wrong, is a wrong act, or is a right act. So of course there are divergent views on this particular matter. So until the court does that, before we can now state if it is right or wrong, but then there's a conflict of rights.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking now is, if, you know, based on the provision of the Constitution, it says that this person, this individual is, you know, yes, it's presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Definitely.
That's what it says. Now, at the same time, it's giving a provision of protecting the rights of this person, even as the person is a suspect. Meaning, do not expose this person to the public. Do not
subject them to any form of degrading treatment.
So we're not even looking at, as far as I'm concerned right now, we're not even looking at you know, all kinds of treatment that this person may undergo, but we're looking at the fact that this person is out there in the public, and at the end of the day, this person may be innocent, and yet you've paraded him or her as, you know, a possible guilty person. So shouldn't that outrightly be wrong, since the court has not actually, you know, had the sitting and all the court proceedings to ensure or to know for sure if this person is guilty or not?
Let's not extinguish the provision of the Constitution as to protecting the public and given rights to freedom of information for the public. Now, like I said, there are certain compelling cases or notorious cases that the public want to know. If the public rights is limited as to wanting to know the status of a particular crime or an alleged crime, you know, by way of parading this suspected person publicly, because, you know, no matter how it seems to sound in your ear, I'm sure there are administrative justification for such actions, especially being initiated by law enforcement agencies. Now, if such public or members of the public would be limited to having an information concerning the issues that pertain to suspects being paraded in public, then their rights to freedom of information will also be violated. So that's why I said
there are three sides now. I mean, from the what government has said, from what the court, how the court sees it, and then the expectations of the general public, which is also their right to such information as to know, okay, the people that have been terrorizing this community, we finally found them, you know. Okay, so what happens if, for instance, now this is where the media comes in, what happens in that case now, where, for instance, the media just decides to keep, you know, their identity for some time and say, okay, there are some suspects, you know, have been caught and all that, but not to parade them.
That is quite that would amount. That would
professionally, you know, as a you know, a broadcaster in media generally, sometimes there are certain things you don't just come out, you know, and either show
except with
or say
a license to do that.
So that sometimes even when there are suspects, you see that their faces, especially if it's on TV, their faces are blood. Yeah. So in such instances, I think those rights would not have been violated in that case, at least.
Yes, in such instances, those rights,
form,
exactly.
But then you don't really get to see the face.
The face,
you don't even get a name.
That that is quite safer. In such instance, you wouldn't say that such person's right is violated. But what if, the person was not reviewed, like you just said, and the person was later not found guilty of committing the alleged offense, but the person, knowing that I've been paraded to an extent where people had seen my face, even if it was blood to the public, I intend to institute an action against, the agency that had done this to me.
That is if the person is not guilty.
Yeah, the person is not guilty, but the person is aggrieved,
okay.
even if their faces were blood to the public. But then they're aware that, it has actually caused some form of stain on their personality.
Okay.
In such instances.
So there's such provision too for one to seek redress when.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
There are.
There are. I'm sure we'll get to that.
Oh yes, we will. Thank you. So, do I? Okay. So
yeah,
in
so
such instances, in such instances, what happens now? We have cases, especially in developed countries, where a person is alleged to have committed an offense, and then the person is wanted because the person is in hiding. And such persons, let's say, pictures or photos are published everywhere.
And they write wanted.
And then you're written wanted. That's part of the public parade too, as well. So what if, that person now is found, the person comes out of hiding, and then the person is not found guilty of committing the alleged offense? So that is one of the, so like I said, I'm sure there are administrative justification for the actions. That's why, it seems like the action is unquestionable or not questioned at all. But then the provision of our constitution now makes these rights of the suspects and the public conflict with each other, especially as it concerns cases of public parade.
Okay. I mean, in that particular instance, I'm just wondering how else, with especially for security agencies, how else will they create that awareness for people to be on the lookout? Because sometimes, like we see in some movies, sometimes the person may be there about to cause harm to another, and to someone who doesn't know about it. But when you are able to see that picture, you know that, oh, this person is on the wanted list, and you either put a call through to police or you run. Okay, so if one finds himself or herself in such a situation whereby he or she is actually innocent but unfortunately has been paraded as a suspect, what is the process? What can that person get when it comes to seeking redress? We'll answer that after the break. Yeah, all right. Okay, so stay with us on Human Rights Radio as we go for commercial. We'll be right back.
It's about that time. This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
Feature ọ bụ ife eji esi nri, ọ bụ akwa na akpụkpọ ụkwụ, ka ọ bụ akpa ụmụ gị ji eje akwụkwọ na ife iji achọ mma. Gbalubia Halibis Mall, isi ụlọ ngwaahịa anyị dị na +660 Cadastral Zone B1, Franca Afebua Crescent Zone E, Apo Legislative Quarters, Gudu District, Abuja. Anyị nwekwara ụlọ ngwaahịa anyị ọzọ na number 1 Medical Center Road, Maraba, Abuja. Nke ikpeazụ bụ na number 21 Sariki Meizabo Road, opposite FMC, Kefi, Nasarawa State. Gwa anyị na ekwentị. Akara ekwentị ị ga-eji nweta anyị bụ 081 ka mkpọkwa ya n'olu ndị iti 08159510000. Halibis Mall nwere ife niile ị chọrọ n'ofu ebe. Ngwaahịa anyị adịrị ọnụ ma dịrị mma nke ukwuu. Gbalubia na Halibis Mall. Nnọọ.
It's about that time. This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
Join our diverse team of legal experts as we provide education and guidance to you, our listeners, on a broad array of issues raised by the modern legal landscape, absolutely free on Pro Bono Chambers, airing on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
All right, it's still Pro Bono Chambers right here on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. And this morning we are taking a look at this situation. What happens when someone, a suspect, is being paraded in public, even though the Constitution says that every individual charged with a criminal offense is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So what happens in such a situation? We've not been able to say exactly if it's right or wrong, yeah, because there are conflicting rights here and there. All right, so but we're really talking before we went on that break. But before you answer that question I asked, yes, how do you even, how does one become a suspect? Especially as we're looking at the possibility of that suspect not really being guilty. How is it that, you would just decide? Would you just pick anybody along the road and say, hey, you come, you look like a suspect? I mean, no. Okay.
A suspect is one that has been identified, and said to be linked with the commission of an offense. Now, you might not have committed the offense, but you have a link with the commission of the offense.
Okay.
You might not have also had a link with the commission of the offense, but like you earlier said, it might just be at the wrong place, at the wrong time. That's misfortune. So, but a person cannot just be picked as a suspect or someone who had committed an offense. Before you are an alleged person, there must be a connection, no matter how little, to the commission of a particular act, which is termed as an offense. That is the case. However, we have a lot of constitutional provisions, international treaties on the protection of human rights, of all citizens. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights had even provided that anyone who had been alleged of committing an offense has a right to be heard. He has a right that his case should be heard in the court of law or wherever the matter is going to be heard. So that is in protection of anybody who had been alleged to have committed an offense and termed a suspect. However, if you've been termed a suspect and after investigation, there were no such evidences to link you with the commission of the alleged offense, then you were discharged, or you were freed from the arrests, that had been initiated.
But people in your area will continue to, he was arrested, and they said,
he wasn't
that
paraded,
thing that happened.
And
not knowing now that you have been discharged and acquitted.
And then in some instances, you were not just arrested, you were paraded. And then in the minds of people, there's already
they already seen you as a criminal.
Yes, there's already this conviction that this particular person, must have committed this crime. So there's nothing to actually make them not believe that you did not commit the crime. They already have a belief, since you were paraded, that you committed the crime. So if you were not found guilty at the end of the day, and then you would have to initiate an action against such law enforcement agency who had paraded you and stained your personality, because this public parade of a suspect most times goes a long way to defame the character of a person. And you know what that means, especially when it's in existence on media platforms. And these days, media platforms are not only initiated by the press. The public also take part of it. They are part of the drivers. So you will see that a suspect is being paraded somewhere in a very deep village, but then the video is out here and trending all over the place, and you wonder who even had that kind of phone in such areas. So the drivers, the drivers give a conviction in the heart of people to believe that you're actually a criminal. So you can actually institute an action in the court of law for defamation of character against such law enforcement agency. But then there are challenges that might come up.
Okay.
Now, this law enforcement agency had acted in office, and they have a right to have acted the way they have acted.
Based on reasonable suspicion.
Reasonable suspicion, and based on the administration that they operate under. That's why I said most times their actions have administrative justification. Now, when they had acted like that, the court will have to weigh the circumstances of the offense before the party or the suspect who is seeking for remedy would be awarded any form of damages or compensation, as the case may be. So these are the possible challenges that might arise, because you can't pinpoint an officer who had acted in office on behalf of the office for a particular offense, to sue him in court, because at the end of the day you were not found guilty of committing an alleged offense. So that's just the case.
Well, that really is a dicey situation.
Very dicey.
But at the end of the day, they could just come out, and the same way they paraded, they can come out and say, well, as part of the people we paraded earlier on, this person has been exonerated. I mean, because that's like one of the fastest ways for the same number of people who got the information earlier to also get the new information that, okay, this person, no, it's not what we thought. Because for him to go back and start convincing people around him, people who have seen him from, maybe he goes looking for a job, and so was it not you that we saw 2000? And
that's why one of the awards might even include public apology. To have a publication for such person's personality to be redressed, other than what it has been addressed.
Personally, I don't think that should be wrong. I mean, even for a security agency to do that, because understandably, like you said, it's based on a certain reasonable suspicions and was acting, except if the person had any personal dealings. Malicious, yeah. And
that's why there's a need for investigation and finding out evidences that would be sufficient enough to actually convict a suspected person.
But the problem remains in the area of that parading. Because usually if there was no parade, I'm sure not many people would. The only thing, everything could be settled outside of, the faces of many people. But then if you have been paraded, then there may be an issue.
Very good.
So when and how will that problem be solved? Because I know there are people who have who may have felt really bad after being paraded, and at the end of the day, we that have seen them will hold on and say, that face, I remember you.
Definitely. That's why I said one of the things you can do as a suspect or a person who was once suspected to have committed a crime, and then you were paraded, but then there were no sufficient evidences to convince you or even arraign you before the courts. What you can possibly do is charge the law enforcement agency for such acts or such practices.
Doing that to the
and
police.
what can possibly come to you is the awarding of compensation as a remedy and publication to say otherwise than what had been put there in the public.
Apology.
Exactly. Or public apology, basically, to talk about the issue and then address it reasonably.
As long as the word goes out there. All right, it's Probono Chambers on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. On this platform, you get to call in and ask questions about legal matters, and we provide free of such advice for you. So call in and ask any questions that has anything to do with legal matters. Okay, if it's about our focus so far this morning, it's very much welcome. You can call the number 081 89991011. That is 081 89991011. Pro Bono Chambers, let's see who gets here first. Sorry about that. Call me right back. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think we also lost that one there, but you can call right back. Hello? What's going on? Okay, let's keep trying, and I do hope we'll have a better connection soon. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Welcome.
So this is Sam calling from Abuja.
Can you say your name again?
Sam calling from Abuja.
Samuel, okay. You're welcome.
About the issue that people are saying, if somebody was...
Can you try to be more audible, please?
Okay, if somebody is paraded by a police officer and the crime was not committed, after everything, the crime was not committed, and you take the person, you said they should take them to the court. So go and say that the crime was not committed. How is it possible for them to do it? When it happened, you said it, the next thing you are going to see is a case that is not even what you want it for.
I'm not sure I got that part. No.
Okay. I said, if it has happened to me, you understand?
Okay.
2011, it happened to me. After everything, I now said, okay, now the people said I committed the crime, and now the investigation came out that the crime was not committed by me. How come? How now will people now go to where everybody has seen that this crime was committed by me? After the issue, it was another case. They now brought out that me, I'm insulting them.
Okay, so you were trying to ask them how they would correct the initial impression, yeah?
Yes.
And then they said you are insulting them.
Insulting them. Yes.
So how did it end?
I just accept that. That is how God wanted it.
Okay. So have you learned anything, because she has addressed what you can do? Have you learned anything? I mean, well, we don't pray for it to happen again, but from what you... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just listen.
Okay.
So sorry about what happened to you. Perhaps you were not informed before, today, on that you're hearing this on air. What you would have done is, if you feel you've been offended, especially by a law enforcement agency or a public organization, you don't approach them seeking for redress. You approach a superior, a court of law, or a superior seeking for redress. What the mistake you did was asking the police, what form of redress they have for you, since you're aggrieved and you were not found guilty after being suspected to have committed an offense. So the best thing you would have done is seeking for a superior, writing to the police force, and then if you were not responded to positively, you would have now gone to the court of law to institute an action. So that is what you should have done. But it's a past case. Today you're informed and you know much better. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel.
So the possible redress you would have gotten is either a compensation, or there's a publication out there to state that you never committed such offense, even if you were paraded, and then there's an apology to follow that they are sorry to have paraded you like that and all that, just to protect your person and your image.
Thank you. So sad. Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Morning to you. Welcome.
Yes, this is Sadiq calling from Abuja.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning, Sadiq.
I don't believe in fundamental human rights, and I don't believe in justice in this country. My full name is Sadiq John Honoroy. I'm a Nigerian from Kogi State. I reside in Dapi.
Okay.
Okay.
We're listening to you.
In 2015, about December 2015, close to January, I was picked up in that area, not in late hours. There was no crisis of any kind at all, no issue at all. The police just came with this life camp just came with their vans. They just load the vans. They just fully to people around 8 to 9, because there is Champions 8 to 9 because there is Champions League 8:45 that day, of which I was preparing to go and watch. They just picked me up, picked everybody. They just filled the van. What even pains me back most is that there is one guy that was just passing with bread, a whole bread, eating around bread with mosquito coil. They called the guy went to them. Being security now, he has to go to them. When he met them, they say he should enter the van. He was like, why? What happened? They hit him the bottom of the gun. When they just hit me, hit the guy with the bottom of the gun, I was the first person to climb the hillock. I quickly ran into the hillock. I sat properly there. They took us to Lycam police station. We were there, and they went back. They were still bringing people, and we met people here. We were there. No one was saying anything to us. I became uncomfortable because that was my first time in my life. I've never been to police station. I've never been arrested. I was not comfortable, and I was scared. I don't know what is going on. Then I began to ask, what is my offense? offense? Why am I here? What am I here for? I was expecting you guys to say you are under arrest for so and so that you've done. Nothing like that. I kept on complaining. The guys that were there with me now say, one of them now say, guy, I beg, it's okay. You didn't do anything. They've not paid them. They are just looking for this money. They say it to me in a very normal way. It's something that they've experienced on several occasions. Then they now, I was now angrily now saying something, shout of anger, that this is heartlessness, this is wickedness, this is not fair. One lady there got provoked. She now came and removed my bed and remove everything in my pocket that I should follow her into the cell. She went and told I don't know, I may call them the criminals because they cell, they are different. The two went and told them that they should deal with me, that I'm very stubborn. They should deal with me very well. Simply because I'm asking that, what is my offense? When they took me here, the president of that cell now called me, what is your name? I told him my name. What is your occupation? I told him where I'm working. Why are you here? I said, I don't know. That was what I was asking them to tell me. Why am I here? What am I here for? Because he said, where they pick you from? Was there any issue there? I said, no, not everything was calm. And I said, do you know why this lady brought you here? I said, I don't know. She said we should torture you, that you are very stubborn. I said, maybe it's because I'm asking them to tell me what is my offense.
Did you know her before that day?
You said?
Did you know the lady before that day?
I didn't know her. She said,
okay.
The only one disturbing. I didn't know her at all. I've never met her. Even if I see her now, I don't think I will know her. But the very one that took me off, even if I see that man in the dream, I'll recognize him. The worst part is that the police of that president was now complaining because after I narrated my story to the president of the cell, he's somehow weak. He said that I'm telling the truth, that the lady just wants to be wicked to me. But the police is not happy. He's thinking that he's not going to beat me.
Okay.
The police now, the president now said I should go and meet the police. The police took me inside the toilet of the cell there and asked me, man like me, he asked me to turn my back. He now whispered to my ear, what about the sex commission? And I should open my bum for him. That is like the ground should just open for me to enter. I shouted, Jesus, oh God. Then the president now asked me to leave me. At the end of the day, I paid 2,200 naira before they released me. One policeman even tell me here that, guy, forget, you didn't do anything, just forget it. Or whatever they ask you to do, just do. That is what they used to do Friday and Saturday.
Sorry about that, okay? I mean, you seem to have so much to say about your experience, and it really is unfortunate that you had to go through that. But then, like we're saying,
in police, I don't believe in police in this country. I don't pray to have
we understand. Based on your experience, we try to understand really. But we can only do what we can do here, okay? To tell you that in case of things like this happening, there are the right procedures to go through with such things. Unfortunately, you had a really bad experience, and we do hope there's no repeat of such. However, somehow, somewhere you can, but then it's something that has it's way past. You said 2015, yeah?
Exactly, yes.
Very sorry about that. However, the barrister, I don't know what else he has to say.
That is why I'm sorry to say this. I don't believe in police till tomorrow. I swear I will never have any issue with anybody that will have me to go to police station. I don't pray so. I rather just forgive and just let it go because.
So sorry about
we'll still have good
experience.
ones. God willing, we will have.
What I have to say is that
ones.
for every existing law enforcement agency or organization, there are disciplinary measures, stated out for the officers and their disciplinary committee. Yes. So if you're aggrieved or if you're unsatisfied with whatever services that was rendered to you, there's a procedure you go about it. Most times when issues like this happen, we would always talk to victims of your kind to get the
financially buoyant.
I understand what you're saying.
Like me.
Justice is for all. If you don't get it from the court of law, you can get it from civil society organizations that are existing for humanity's sake. That's why I said.
Well,
yes.
I pray such
You are
people
not
will never
totally
work in this
hopeless.
country.
So if at that point you were seeking for remedy and had gone to the organizations and through the disciplinary measures, and then you didn't get a remedy to the situation, you can also as well explore other options coming from existing civil society organizations that had been put for humanity's sake. So what
If I had take that such step, they can accuse me of anything. They can put something in my pocket. They can do, police. They can do anything. They can just frame me up.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really thank you for
very
your
much.
call. Thank you.
And really sorry about your experience. I mean, I'm trying to understand from where he's coming from. If you've had a particular experience, you just give up. But I think if we give up on the system, we will in a way empower them.
That's why
to
I said you
continue,
can
especially
totally
the bad
give up
ones.
if you've not made
If we
efforts.
do, we will empower them to continue.
Yeah, you can't
in
give
the
up
badness.
if you've not totally made efforts.
Yeah.
You
So
can't,
just like you said,
you
the
can't-
civil society organizations or the court, you can go to them. And
Exactly. So, but you need to make efforts. Try something. Like I said, these offices have disciplinary measures and they have disciplinary committees that oversee that such indiscipline, especially in the officers, are fixed. So, if you're unsatisfied in any way by rendering
that
of
was just
services and all,
gross.
you know how to go about it now. If the procedures are too cumbersome for you to go about it, there are existing civil society organizations that you would meet and for them to help you address these issues. There are a lot of them existing for humanity's sake, so you would have at least done that. But you can't totally say there's no justice or give up on the society because you haven't made any effort at all to see that you get remedy to these actions or these things that were done to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. What's your name?
This is calling from Latvia, Dankasa.
Who?
This is Dankasa from Latvia.
Okay, Dankasa. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Dankasa from Latvia.
Okay, please go ahead.
Just want to have a little observation as a case study of Latvia State.
Okay.
Yeah. So the issue of deploying the military personnel to Latvia State here. So precisely I want to quote like a road link to what they call Odi local government and through aware this where the issue is actually hurting around there. And perhaps the military being deployed to Latvia, some of them were stationed very close to this federal university where it was stationed here, and the main scene where things are happening are very, very far. So I said, let me also express it here.
What's happening?
That was the redress.
Okay, your observation is is okay, yeah, but this is a different topic. I mean, a different program entirely. I understand what you're talking about. The crisis situation over there, saying okay that the military are not exactly where the problems are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that thought with us. This is Pro Bono Chambers, though. We are about to actually wrap things up. I was hoping that would be our last call. Looking at the time, because we may not be able to address any major issue at this point. But before we go, are there any other things you want to add to the conversation?
No, nothing at all.
Okay, so I do hope this has been like an eye-opener to many people who may have had some experiences, negative or bad experiences with some security agents. Perhaps they don't give up, because really I personally feel like if you say, oh no, I don't believe in this, I don't have any hope in this, they would be empowered somehow, feeling like they are actually above the law. It is true that sometimes if you don't have money, I mean, this is Nigeria, we all know how some things work here, but then let's try out these institutions that have been put in place to see to what extent really they are functioning or not before we can think of giving up or actually trying harder. All right. Many thanks to those who called in, and to our in-house barrister Adana for shedding a lot of light to us and ensuring that we know our rights, even if you are a suspected suspect, a wrong suspect, in any way.
Thank you, Ruth.
All right. That has been our package on Pro Bono Chambers this morning. Let's do this again tomorrow, God willing. This is where I say goodbye myself, but remain here with us on Human Rights Radio. More of our programming is coming your way right here. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, in the morning. My name is Ruth.
Join our diverse team of legal experts as we